Hello and welcome or welcome back. I'm super excited to share today's dream and messages with you. I've been riding this high of the spirit's energy and I absolutely love it. Before we dive in, I want to remind you to check out my Etsy shop, thehiddenmediumshop.etsy.com, and follow me on Instagram, which I just changed the name and vibe for that page. I decided I needed to get back into running half marathons. So that page is now titled Paranormal Runner. Follow and cheer me on to my half marathon goals because Lord knows I need all the encouragement I can get. This page is also a great way for you to submit your photos to me right through direct message. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get started with today's story. A 3 a.m. wake up call from Spirit. So I woke up at 3 a.m., wide awake, like my body was just done sleeping for the night. So to avoid waking my husband, I slipped out and went on the couch. After scrolling through my apps a bit, I thought, maybe I should try to get some sleep before the day actually begins. That's when I had the dream. So the Spirit at the celebration of life. In the dream, I was back at my brother-in-law mother's celebration of life. So my sister's mother-in-law. And for context, I had just returned from New York about 3 weeks prior, where I attended the actual event. So in the dream, we're closing everything down. Only my parents, my sister, and my brother-in-law and I were left cleaning up. There were two older Italian ladies there, but upon reflecting, I realized that they weren't actually there. They were spirits also, but I think they belonged to the park and were just watching but never engaging. So as we stood by the desserts, I suddenly saw Grandma Carol. At first I was like, wow, this woman looks exactly like Carol. So I said hello. My sister looked over and asked who I was talking to, and that's when Grandma Carol started laughing. I got the biggest smile on my face and hugged her so tightly. I have never hugged a spirit before. This wasn't like a usual dream encounter. It felt so real, as if she were so physically present I could squeeze her. She told me that everything about the party was perfect and wanted me to let her kids know they did an amazing job. She loved that people were eating, talking, laughing, smiling. It was exactly how I wanted my passing to be, is what she explained to me. I teased her about her famous lemon bars, saying I wish I could have tried them, so I would have known who made the best ones. She grinned and laughed. Well, it wasn't the ones Lisa made. And we both started laughing. I did mention my sister's oven, which has had issues in the past, was to blame for her overcooked yet somehow raw in the middle desserts. Grandma Carol confirmed that my sister is actually a really great cook. She admitted that she watched me and her son Josh trying to eat those half-baked desserts. The conversation went a little bit deeper. And I looked and I asked, wait, so you were there that morning? She explained that she moved between visiting Josh and her daughter Katie. When I asked if she crossed over quickly, her response was so simple. Yeah, it was pretty easy. She just brushed it off. The energy, joy, and love radiating from this encounter was like anything I'd ever experienced. The crazy thing is, before leaving, she gave me one final message to pass on. Stan, you had a second dream. This reading's a twofer. A couple days before this dream, my sister had sent me a photo. She was cleaning out her closet in the house we grew up in, which she now owns. On the inside of the closet door, which is our old shared closet when we were kids, she found her name written in chalk. When I focused on the picture, I didn't get any visuals like I usually do, only emotions, but heavy emotions, like fear, doubt, anger, sadness. Just getting emotions is really unusual for me. I usually get pictures or a scene or something in my head. Now, at the same time, I had been questioning whether I should keep putting my mediumship journal and gifts and everything out into the world, because my childhood wounds of being called a demon or losing friends, it always stirs back up and makes me doubt if it's safe out there. But that night, I dreamed about the chalk. In a dream, I stood in my old bedroom, staring at the closet door where my sister's name was written in chalk, white chalk, all capital letters. A female voice filled the room, carrying all those heavy emotions. And then came one word: forgiveness. I thought, well, thank God it says Lisa's name, because forgiveness isn't exactly my strong suit. The voice clarified, you have to let go of those heavy emotions. Let them go, release them, be light again. The next evening, I planned to tell my sister, but before I could, I had the Grandma Carol dream, which Grandma Carol confirmed the woman is right, the message is forgiveness. So as we were all leaving in the Grandma Carol dream, she said she had one last message. That was it. The woman is right, the message is forgiveness. I still didn't know exactly what needs forgiving. Maybe my sister forgiving me for all those nights I crawled into her bed after having nightmares, or maybe bigger things, maybe everything. Truth is, forgiveness is a part of the human experience. Sometimes our life mantra just has to be, let that shit go. When I woke up from the Grandma Carol dream, I was buzzing with joy. Like her laughter just stayed with me. I made coffee. I stepped outside. The stars looked brighter than ever. There were 2 planets that shone like spotlights. Orion stood tall in the sky. It reminded me of the nights in Vegas when I used to look at him and think, my sister is probably looking at him too. Later, on my morning run, I could not stop taking pictures. Like the clouds, the sunrise, the colors. It was all so breathtakingly beautiful. It felt like Grandma Carol's energy was still with me, teaching me to see life's beauty in all the smallest details. That morning, I felt drunk on happiness, like content and free. All from a spirit visit with a woman I had barely seen in 20 years, but who still had the power to fill me with all this love, joy, and light. That's the thing with spirit. Time doesn't matter. Love doesn't fade. They always know more than we realize. So the delivery. I called my sister, and perhaps through divine intervention, my brother-in-law was out for a run. I am the type of person that can be a little overwhelming at times. So blame the ADHD that was never medicated back in my day. So perhaps it was a good thing that I dealt with my sister, who is used to all of my hype. I told her I had the dream of Grandma Carol. I explained how easily she crossed over and how I hugged a spirit, which I had never done before. I continued to explain the energy she brought into my life, the positivity and the love and the appreciation for all the little, often overlooked elements in our everyday life. As excited as my voice was, I didn't feel like I had the perfect words to explain the absolute joy that resulted from this encounter. I explained about the beauty of the twinkling stars and how the planets somehow seemed brighter than ever, continuing with how I got lost in the memories while focusing on Orion the Hunter. She then interrupted me to tell me that every line of stars her husband sees, he thinks is Orion, and that you actually cannot see Orion in the sky at this time of year, yet her husband always insists he sees her. So perhaps my focus was set for a reason, to make that connection. I explained to my sister that Orion is definitely in the sky and that I definitely saw him that morning. So thankfully, my nephew was listening and explained to my sister that Orion actually can't be seen from New York, but it can be seen in the early morning in Florida. So in case you were worried, I'm not crazy. I really did see Orion. I also explained to my sister the dream I had about the closet chalk. She didn't understand either. She was like, who or what are we supposed to be forgiving? And I couldn't help with that question. Perhaps I'll have another dream about it. Meanwhile, I guess we'll just be mindful of any and all negative emotions or judgments. We will forgive generously and let go of heavy emotions. Although the chalk spelled out Lisa, it was in our shared childhood bedroom, and it did reference emotions from the past. So I'm left to assume this is something we are supposed to work on together. Once again, thank you for listening to my stories, shopping at my Etsy store, and subscribing to my channel. Have a fantastic day.